Okay, so you've developed your passion and you have a good idea that you think will really work. You've kind of thought it through, but you really need to think it through. And you have your general idea, but it needs to be refined. And you need to feel it out before committing to anything specific. You don't want to miss fundamental aspects of the idea that you normally wouldn't think about, or that are less exciting but still, part of the foundation. So thinking it through is necessary. There's no perfect way. It comes from all sides. Ideas can come from anywhere. They can take all sorts of shapes. Part of them can be emotional, part of them can be logical from something you read, or a combination of things that you know. Ultimately, experience will give you the most feedback. Some truths will only happen once you've made some terrible mistakes, and it'll be wise to brainstorm at those times as well. But you need to avoid it if you can. So properly thinking it through in a very structured way can really be a vital step, and it'll save you a lot of time. So there's a practical process to brainstorming that will really help you out. And to give you the condensed version first, obtain a quantity of ideas rapidly. Just get them down on paper. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad. If you're working alone, just write until you can't think of anything else to say, even if it's not good, if it's corny, even if it's not very clever when you're writing it, still write it. Because there's something about getting it out on paper that allows your mind to let go of it so you can think deeper and take it to the next level. So you want to record every contribution. If you have a team, record what they say, even if you think it's dumb. Record it. There might be some truth in there that you don't realize immediately. And then, urge yourself or urge your participants to improve those ideas. They're already out, they're already accounted for on the page. Now is the time to improve them. It was not the time to improve them when you were just thinking of them the first time, because you want to have a non-judgmental environment in the beginning. But once they are out on paper, it's like, let's think about each point individually. How can we make this better? Do we think it's legitimate? Should we throw it out? Should we keep it? It's auditing each point. Use questions to stimulate thinking, like, what is a crazy way to see this? Or how do we combine these two ideas? Or what if I take away some part of this? Or what if? Decide on the merits of ideas by using mental simulations. Really think through the process, and plug it into a real world scenario that you can imagine in your head. To take it deeper, though, there's really three parts, and those three parts are to limit the problem, to create a non-critical atmosphere, and then use brainstorming techniques. The first problem is limiting your problem. So you don't want to just throw the idea into your head. You want to segment it out so you can think about it in a controlled way. So you look at your goal, and then you understand individual requirements to achieve that goal. And then you list out and evaluate your assumptions. And we'll talk more about assumptions as we go through this course. But list out what you believe is true. And don't assume that they're facts when you're assuming them, or they might be opinions. So list them out, and then you'll have an opportunity to look at them. And I can guarantee there'll be many times when you look at what you've written and say, is that what I believe? It doesn't feel so true when I read it, or when it's out here, or when I'm sharing it with other people. So it's a real good idea to objectify your beliefs. And then evaluate what you have to work with. You look at your resources. These are the requirements. What resources do I have? So, you've limited the problem, and you've sort of cornered your emotions on it in a way. So then, create a non-critical atmosphere. In a way, this might have been first, but you looked at your requirements, you've looked at your resources, now it's time to really brainstorm. Now it's time to really say, what are some creative ways we can address this? So you want to get inspiration if you can. either by reading or listening to stories of other people that have overcome adversity. What are the principles involved in that? Do your research. Who are the professionals that can help you? What have other people done in similar situations? Educating yourself on the practices of the world, because if you think about it, almost everything that happens to you has happened to other people probably thousands of times at least. There's very few unique problems. So look at what the innovators are doing. Not only are they similar people to you who are faced with the same problem, but they innovated. They stepped it up. They overcame it with something you never thought of that may or may not now be the going way. It was a shortcut until it worked the best, and then it became the way. Go somewhere, get out of your office, get into an environment, fresh. Maybe not even an office building. Go to a park, go to a restaurant. If you're really having a problem for weeks or something, go on a vacation. See things in a new way. Keep a journal next to your bed. I truly think the best ideas I've ever had happen immediately when I wake up or right before I fall asleep. It's easier to catch the first ones. When you wake up, your pad of paper is there, you have an idea in your head, bang, write it down. You're falling asleep, it's like, oh, I'll write it down tomorrow. So you just have to be self-aware to grab what's available to you. And take breaks. There's a principle that's becoming more popular, which is intermittent learning. Like for instance, the idea is that if you have 5 opportunities to study something, it's better to put space in between those instances instead of doing it all at one time. You'll learn it better. If you just take those 5 right next to each other day after day, you're going to have not as good results as if you put a week in between each one. And then shut out criticism. So this goes back to the whole point of the section, which is create a non-critical environment. Just if you're criticizing yourself, if somebody else is criticizing you, if one team member is criticizing another, you have to stop that, especially at this stage in the game. Now, after there's taking action, now it's time to criticize. But during the brainstorming process, there is no wrong answer. Part 3 of 3, brainstorming techniques. There's brainstorming diagrams, and a tree, you write out the components, and then you draw a tree diagram to associate potential solutions, and then you're able to look at them. And it's just using different ways to objectify what you're thinking. Brainstorming techniques, asking a question in a unique way and having everyone helping you answer it in their own way and hear what the other people are saying. You want to warm up for sure. Encourage your team members to do some talking. Just talk about whatever they're experiencing. Talk about the problem. Jabber. Just get it out there. Make some jokes. Make everyone in the room go around and tell a joke. It's hard for some people, but it gets your brain working. Change your perspective. In other words, maybe get out of the room and bring in somebody else to lead this meeting. A more friendly person or a less friendly person. It'll change the entire energy of the room and you'll get different answers out of your team. Create idea categories like easy idea, tough idea, crazy idea. Segment them into their different, maybe say this is expensive, not so expensive, and then cheap. Break it down by how much it'll cost to do it. Write a poem, analysis, or review of what's already happened, or use your imagination. Bring an old technique into a new age. Try to modify what's worked for a long time. Use an online idea generator. I don't find these to be as useful as they seem to be to others, but Post Malone named himself Post Malone based on an idea generator online, so it worked for him. Keep asking questions. Just find a new way to ask a question about the topic. Just not finished, not good enough. What's a new way to look at this? What have we not thought of? What are other people doing? The list goes on. And do some free writing. And that really is kind of what goes back to the first section. But I found that if you're looking for a new idea, maybe write down everything you can think of to write, because once it's on the page, it's no longer required to hold it in your mind, and it gives you more mental resources to think beyond that. So, maybe you're trying to think of what to say in an advertisement. Well, the first thing you could say is, our product is good. Our company is good. Our team is good. I like this, I like that. Now, it's sort of basic, but once that's said, you go back and look at it again. Our product is good because it works better. Our team is good because they work together better. So each time you go through this list of truths that you think are important, you get a little bit deeper. And once you start doing this, you'll be amazed how well your mind starts to work. And then just don't waste time. Remember to stay focused, because the brainstorming process can go on for a long time if you don't bring the hammer down on the process. So, you're here to be non-judgmental, but let's do this thing. And just let it be whatever it's going to be, and you'll be well rewarded for including this process in your overall process.